Hey, it's Craig Harker here from Bishopsgarth and Elmtree. We're currently outside Bishopsgarth shops, just at the Five Halls pub. So today what I've decided to do is ring up Steve Turner, who's running for Police, Crime and Commissioner, and see if we can discuss some of the issues that this ward faces, as well as Cleveland's in general.
The Police and Crime Commissioner controls the entire budget for Cleveland Police.
Right.
And Cleveland has a budget of £145 million. So where that's spent and how that's spent is decided by the PCC. But if we've got a strategy that says we're going to combat antisocial behaviour, for example, or we've got a problem with off-road motorbikes in a particular area, I set that strategy for the Chief Constable and say, right, this is what I'm going to hold you to account for, this is what I'm going to measure you on. How he goes away and delivers that is entirely up to him.
So what you'll have is, I know I see on social media, you've regularly got people on there saying the reason that antisocial behaviour has crept up, the reason that we have drug abuse, our high streets are in a state, the reasons for this that a lot of people give is due to Tory cuts. What would you say to that? What would your answer be to that?
To say it's all about officer numbers is just wrong. I think the other side of that is you've got to look at what you do with the officers you've got, because one of the decisions the previous PCC made and a previous Chief Constable was to strip out neighbourhood policing. Yeah, so instead of taking officers from back office jobs, they took officers out of our neighbourhoods and that's where they made the cuts and replaced them with PCSOs, and that's just wrong. So
what do you think that you'd be able to do that's different or better than the previous PCC?
What I will bring that's completely different is a strategy and holding our Chief Constable account. The biggest single power a PCC has is the ability to hire and fire the Chief Constable, and I want to measure the Chief Constable. So if I set a series of targets, I expect the Chief Constable to deliver on them.
The fact your approach to policing seems to be very direct. You know, if there's a crime committed, there has to be a punishment involved to that crime. And that's how I like the direct approach that you give out.
The police force isn't a social service, it's a police force. Their job is to catch criminals and deliver them into the justice system, and then when we've done that, we make sure the victims of those criminals are looked after.
Yeah.
Right? And I think in the past we've spent too much time and too much money looking after criminals and worrying about why they've committed a crime and how we're going to help rehabilitate them. Same as with drug addicts and things, that they should be looked after in the public health system, not in the police and crime system.
Right, so we're back now and we're in Stockton High Street. Myself, Craig Harker, and I'm with Steve Turner, the Police and Crime Commissioner candidate for the Conservatives. Now, the reason I've invited Steve here today is, as a business owner on this high street with 5 businesses either on the high street or around it, I've seen the decline in this high street. It's a mess now. The crime figures, antisocial behaviour, theft and drug abuse is an absolute joke. For this upcoming election, we've got a chance to change the way that our police force is run, I guess. So what is it that you can do personally if you're voted in, Steve, as Police Crime Commissioner?
I think the thing is, Craig, when you come to places like that, and Stockton High Street looks great.
Yeah.
Right? They've done a lot of work, and I've got to pay credit to the council for that. But you're right, we've got too many empty shops. It's busy, but it's not busy enough. And one of the big issues with that is what people see when they come, whether that's daytime economy or nighttime economy.
Yeah.
And the one thing is that I've just parked my car there, and there's 2 guys slumped up against the wall in the car park, obviously out of it, and that puts you off. So as somebody visiting Stockton, if that's the first thing you see, you've got to stop at that. So drugs, I think, is a big issue.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. There's dealing. I dare say if we stand here long enough, there'll be deals in plain sight, and that type of thing I want to see come. So I want to set a strategy that forces our Chief Constable to look at that street dealing and those gangs.
Yeah.
Right? And I appreciate we want the bigger guys, we want the ones at the top, we want the suppliers, not necessarily the dealers. But if we don't take the dealers off the streets, then our economy won't work, and our communities think police aren't bothered and they're not doing anything about it.
The police have had damaging reports done. You know, people in Stockton, they've lost faith in our council. It's a reason why I'm running myself. They've lost faith in the local council. what's your views on how Stockton are running this town centre right now?
Like I said, I'll work with anybody and I'll sit down and talk to anybody, but if somebody doesn't want to work with me, I'll make that public. Right? Like I said, I've put invites out to all 4 council leaders, right? Only Stockton's council leader didn't take me up on that. The other 3 all took me up on that, and I've had meetings with all of them, and they've all told me what their priorities for their towns are and their boroughs are. There's lots of room to work together.
So if he is fortunate enough to win, and good luck to Steve, I hope he does, we could be studying in 5 years' time going, Steve, you promised this, 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 this. And hopefully we can say, like Ben Ouchen has, I've delivered on this, and you'll have a track record in a few years' time. I just think people need to take the chance, vote for Steve Turner for your police crime commissioner on May the 6th, and together we can all just make a positive change for the town. And finally, we've got a candidate there who wants to tackle crime head on, which is something I'm a massive fan of.